In this video, I'll be running through a 3-step framework, 3 questions that you can ask yourself to determine should you be spending on brand search? And if you should be spending on brand search, how much should you be spending? Now, this video is going to be particularly focused towards those brands that also stock within marketplaces. And the issue with a marketplace like eBay, like Amazon, like The Iconic, etc., is that they have massive budgets on Google. And so they end up wiping you out on brand search and particularly brand shopping. And so the question becomes, how much should we spend to defend that placement? Because we're using these marketplaces as an ability to add incremental revenue to the business, but now we're just detracting through the additional cost basis that lies within brand search. And so there's 3 core questions that you need to ask yourself. Number 1 is, what is the objective of placing within marketplaces or within reseller-based websites? What is the core objective here? Is it to gain customers that you otherwise wouldn't have gained through direct-to-consumer marketing channels? And these are people that only buy on Amazon, they're people that only buy on eBay, and you're capturing the in-platform demand there. Is the objective to simply add more revenue to the business? Is the objective to be as profitable as possible through those other marketplace channels? What actually is the objective? Because you need to get clear on why you're even placing within these marketplaces, why you're even placing in these resellers, before you can start to approach the problem of, do we allow people to funnel there or do we not? Number 2 is, how important is it to us to drive someone to our website and gather, and let's just call this first, and you can see my handwriting is terrible there, first party data. How important is it that we drive someone from a branded key term to our website to collect first party data to remarket to them? Now, this is going to come down to a lot of different factors. For example, do we even have a high repeat purchase rate? If no one comes back and buys again, and this is, for example, the case within the luggage industry, very, very low repeat purchase rates unless you have supplementary products. If you're selling on marketplaces, is it really that important to spend an enormous amount on branded key terms to get people to your website just to collect first-party data when they're never going to come back and buy again anyway? When we could just have those people pathway to marketplaces without the cost of advertising. Obviously, there's the cost of placing on the marketplace, the cut that they take. But this might be the better option that we have to go with. So we need to assess what the actual value is underlying the first-party data advantage of having them go to our website. This also ties into the consumer pathway of these customers. So are people finding out about the brand through hundreds of thousands of dollars in meta spend per month, and then pathwaying to brand search, and then getting clipped off by a marketplace, and now you're taking 2 cuts? So you're taking a 30% cut because of the cost of advertising, the cost of acquisition through Meta, and then you're taking another 30% cut to Amazon. That's obviously not a situation that you'd want to be in. Or is a little bit of traffic coming from Facebook, a little bit's coming from Google, a little bit's coming from PR, in-store, omni-channel, and then there's also some just native traffic ending up on the product page from Amazon itself. In which case, very different story, and you might want to approach this problem slightly differently. And then the last question you need to ask yourself is, I'm going to call it offer, which is, how much more compelling is the offer of the marketplace or the reseller compared to your own? And this is where people end up really messing up. And I'll show you some examples of this in a second, which is that Amazon has a considerably better value proposition than you probably do on your own brand. And I say that as a consumer, that if I know that someone's selling on Amazon, I'll always buy on Amazon. Why? Way better return policies. I can return pretty much for free all the time, get my money back. Number 2, incredible shipping times. I'll probably get the product within 12 to 36 hours, probably uncomparable to what the direct-to-consumer website's going to do. And if they are going to do it, they're going to do it at a $15, $20, $25 charge. My average purchase size is probably $50 to $60. I'm not going to pay that premium. And so I'll just go to Amazon and get that benefit anyway. And so if you have hundreds of thousands of dollars in traffic flooding over in from Meta over here, and then they're seeing right at the bottom of funnel as they search for your brand to get some brand credibility, they might be wanting to look at reviews, they might just be trying to pathway to the website, and they see an Amazon listing over here that has incredible value propositions that everyone already knows about Amazon. If you've ever purchased, you don't have to see the value prop. You already know. Great return policy, great shipping rates. They're going to pathway to Amazon, and you're going to take a 30% clip or a 30% clip here. Now, this is obviously the larger context that you need to start to identify before you even go onto these marketplaces and these reseller websites. Now, being on a marketplace and being on a reseller website is not a bad thing. I used to think it was bad, and now I don't think it's bad. I think it's actually a really good way to capture incremental revenue and customers that otherwise wouldn't purchase from you on your direct-to-consumer website. But you need to be really cognizant of what that actual objective is. Why are you even selling here? How does that tie into the larger mission of the brand? Do we really need the first-party data or not? How reliant are we on this for the continued performance of the business? And then number 3, how much more compelling is the offer of these reseller websites or the offer of these marketplaces in comparison to our own? So let's run through 2 quick examples so you can get an idea for this. Number 1 is Tradie Socks. So this is a brand in Australia, sells socks, pretty simple. You can see they have a direct-to-consumer website that you can purchase from, but they're ranking number 2, and every other ranking is either a competitor or a stockist. For example, you can see a stockist over here, and then down here in our popular products, these are all stockists of the product. In this case, they obviously need to be asking the question, do they want more saturation under this key term? Do they want to be running a specific brand search and a brand shopping campaign? Do they want to be putting additional spend here or not? Now, it depends on, number 1, the objective. And let's make up an objective, and let's say the objective of them going into these different retailers is actually for store presence and not for online presence. For example, right here, this isn't a predominantly online store. This is predominantly in-person store distribution across Australia. And so that might be the core objective here. In which case, if someone's going online, we actually want to prioritize capturing them, because the point in these stockists is not to get online sales to them, it's to get in-person sales to them that we would otherwise be missing. We're not missing out on online purchases because we have our own direct-to-consumer store. And so we want to maintain as much capture of the market here as possible. Now, the second thing to ask yourself is, do we need the first-party data? Well, the reality here is that socks has a very high repeat purchase rate. It's in a very consumable-based niche, particularly with very easy cross-sells that they already have within their product portfolio. And so the first-party data here, is actually going to be quite valuable. We probably don't want to give that first-party data away to a retailer. And so we want to keep it. And so that probably further increases the chances of us wanting to bid more aggressively. And then number 3 is the offer. How much more compelling is the offer of our distributors compared to us? Now, in this case, not much. At least the ones that are ranking here for their branded key term, they're really not much more competitive in terms of the offering than our own direct-to-consumer brand. Fantastic. So we know that they're not going to wipe the floor with us. Even if they're ranking 5 or 6, they're still not going to capture all of the traffic due to them having such a strong value proposition. Amazing. And so in this case, I would be significantly increasing spend towards branded shopping and branded search. You can also see there's a lot of competitors that are just ranking in here as well. And so we definitely don't want to be losing volume of really low bottom of funnel sales into competitor knockoff products. Now let's go into the second example. So this is a rug brand in Australia. You can see none of their own direct-to-consumer products exist when you search for their brand. However, this is, once again, stockists or retailers stocking their products in some of these instances. Some of them they aren't, some of them they are. And then we can even see in the search results, they're also being outbid across branded search. So once again, the question becomes, number 1, what is the objective of being in these stockists? Well, once again, the stockists that they're in are predominantly trying to push in-person stores, from what I can gauge by looking at this, rather than online sales. And so number 1, that's kind of a tick. Our objective here is to actually continue to drive direct-to-consumer sales, but we also want a store presence, and we're using distributors to do that. First-party data, how important is that? I'm going to make a rough guess. That could be completely wrong, but I'm guessing this isn't a huge LTV business and that there isn't really high repeat rates on high-ticket products like this, unless there's a larger product portfolio that has easy cross-sellability, which I don't think is the case in this situation. So that's a no. First-party data, not really that relevant because the resale value or the repeat purchase rates or the value of following up with these customers isn't incredibly high. Is it valuable? Yes. Is it incredibly valuable to us? Not really. That then leaves us with the offer. how much more compelling is the offer of these brands? Well, I actually haven't gone into these individual stockists and had a look at how compelling they are compared to this offer, but that's the last question you'd want to ask. Let's say that the offers of the distributed brands aren't that good compared to us. Then that would leave us in a situation where we'd have to make quite a nuanced decision, okay? Because the objective is, up here, to drive people into store. Cool. So this is, in my eyes, a tick in terms of we want to continue to maintain strong brand search on Google because we want to continue to capture the direct-to-consumer market. The goal here isn't to give away a portion of the direct-to-consumer market, even though that's probably going to be a slight negative side effect of going down this path. First-party data isn't that important to us. And then the offer of the competitors isn't really that compelling in comparison to us. And so we actually have a superior or an on-par offer here. And so in this case, I would likely come to the conclusion that we should place on brand. Now, this would be a middle case scenario where I would really want to be maximizing efficiency on this spend though. I really wouldn't want to be spending much at all on brand, but I would want to spend enough to where we can still maintain strong impression share across the top of the grid here, as well as the search ads. So I hope this was a helpful framework in being able to allow you to diagnose the 3 core factors that contribute to how aggressively or whether you should bid at all on branded key terms across search and shopping. To recap, number 1 is what is the objective of placing in marketplaces or with resellers? Number 2 is it important to drive someone to our website, gather the first-party data, and achieve the conversion there rather than losing that to a reseller? And then number 3 is how much more compelling is the offer on the marketplace compared to our own offering? Once you know the answer to those 3, you can start to converge towards a conclusion and a decision as to how you should approach spend on brand.